Hi, it's Dr. Wyman again. We're on to Chapter 7 in Microeconomics, and Chapter 7 is production costs. So what I'm going to do is go over one big problem with you. And by doing this problem, you should be able to do all of your homework problems with no problem at all. Because everything that's in this problem, except for, of course, like short answer or whatever, but the actual calculations of problems in your homework will be covered through this longer problem. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. I have a couple of screens today that we're going to look at. This is a schedule that we're going to create. Hold on, I think I'm in the wrong section here. Let me share my screen. Let me do it this way. That way it works better. Okay, here we go. Okay. This is a short run cost schedule, and this is how you create it. This is actually taken from your textbook under study questions and problems. In my textbook, it's on page 201. But you would look for study questions and problems in your homework. So sometimes, because I have a hard copy book, you have an online book. I'm not exactly sure if the numbers are the same, but anyway, that's where you would find this homework. This questions and problems. So, okay, let's take a look at this. I set this chart up and I put in here everything that was in the textbook. So we have the headings here, just the items in blue are in your textbook. These columns here, I'm going to show you how to calculate the information so you can fill in these blue lines. Because when you see it, I don't know how you are, but when I see a blank chart, pretty much blank, and they say fill this in, my first thought is like panic attack. So hopefully you are not going to have that because I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is just, the problem just says, construct the cost schedule using the data for a firm operating in the short run. And then after that, we're going to graph it. So I'm going to show you how to graph it, but you'll be graphing in your own homework problems. This is not a homework problem. This is a study problem. So anyway, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we have total fixed cost of $50 and our total costs are here, 50 through 275. And we have total output quantity, Q is quantity, and you see the acronyms here. TFC is total fixed cost, TVC, total variable cost, etc. So you know what these acronyms mean. So the first thing that we are looking at is, okay, we have total fixed costs. Okay, so it's a fixed cost. So what are we going to do? Okay, fixed costs, we're going to put that on every line because we know that's the fixed cost. Fixed costs do not change with production. What a fixed cost means is that you have to pay that cost even if you make 0 items to sell. It's called fixed. So, and I can give you an example that you use in your own life or that your parents use if you're living at home with them. You know, they have to pay the mortgage or their rent or your cable bill, whatever it is, your electricity bill, every single month, regardless. If they lose their jobs or they don't have a way to pay, it doesn't matter. The company still expects them to pay. So that is a fixed expense. A variable expense in your home life would be maybe your food budget. So instead of buying, ribeye steaks, your parents are buying more hamburger. So they're making, we had this last chapter, they're making consumer choices that fit their budget, so they're getting more bang for their buck, right? So they're spending the same amount of money, but instead of buying steaks that they can have one meal, they're buying hamburger where they could have two meals. So that's just an example. But a fixed cost is, it's not going to change. You have to pay it every month, regardless of how much money you have coming in. So we know then that the total fixed cost is $50. They gave it to us. That's going to happen no matter how much production we put out, no matter how much quantities we produce. If we produce a quantity of 1 or a quantity of 9, it's still $50. If we produce 0, it's still $50. So I have the formulas here for you to calculate the variable cost. It's total cost, right? So minus total fixed cost equals total variable cost. So your total costs were given to us right here. So the formula is your total cost, which is 50, minus your total fixed cost, 50, equals 0 over here, right? So you could put these in as formulas if you want. So it would be easy. I'm just showing you how you would do it with paper and pencil. So the next thing is you have your total cost of 70. So it's 70 minus your total fixed cost of 50 equals 20. Then we have 85 minus 50 equals 35. Nice of them to give us numbers that we can do in our heads, right? Then we have 95 minus 50 equals 45. Then we have 100 minus 50 equals 50. 110 minus 50 equals 60. 130 minus 50 equals 80. 165 minus 50 equals 165 minus 50 equals 115. And 215 minus 50 equals 165. And 275 minus 50 equals 225. Okay, so that's our variable cost. So we have calculated this. I forgot my equal sign, but we've calculated this whole column in just a few minutes, right? Okay, so now we have to go on to the total costs, right? We want to get our marginal costs here. So we have total cost minus previous total cost equals marginal cost. Now we've had this before, right? So we have total cost is 50 minus 50. 50 minus 50 equals 0. Now we have to go to 70 minus 50 equals 20. And 85 minus 50 equals 35. And 95 minus 50 equals 45. 100 minus 50 equals 50. 110 minus 50 equals 60. 130 minus, whoops, I'll get in the right column here. 130 minus 50 equals 80. Wait a minute, I'm doing the wrong thing here. Oh, sorry, let me start this over. 85 I'm sorry. I'm getting all confused with my total cost. So it's 85 minus 70. Sorry, equals 15. 95 minus 85 equals 10. $100 minus 95 equals 5. And and 110 minus 100 equals 10. Now we're back on track here. 130 minus 110 equals 20. And 165 minus 130 equals 35. And 215 minus 165 equals 50. And 275 minus 215 equals 60. So now we have our marginal cost. So what you do is take your total costs. These are like marginal, right? Marginal means 1 unit. So I'm sorry, I got off track there. But what you're actually doing is just subtracting your previous cost from the next cost. So it's just 50 minus 70, 85 minus 70, or 50, oh, sorry, 70 minus 50, 85 minus 70, 95 minus 85, 100 minus 95, 110 minus 100, all the way down. And so then you get your marginal cost. So in this case, we have 20, 15, 10, 5, 10, 20, 35, 50, and 60. So now we need to go to the average fixed cost. So you know when you say average, you're going to have division in there. So we're going to say our total fixed costs, which are how much? 50, right? And we know it's going to be division. So just for the sake of easy processing here, let's just put this in, and then we'll do the rest of it. Okay, so it's going to be 50 divided by quantity is 0. So that equals 0. So then we're going to have by 1. Here's our quantity list over here, right? So we're going to do 50 divided by 1 equals 50. And then we have 50 divided by 2. It's 25. 50 divided by 3 is 17. And we're rounding here. So, you know, you want whole numbers. 50 divided by 4 equals 13. Keep forgetting my equal signs. And 50 divided by 5 equals 10. 50 divided by 6 equals 8. 50 divided by 7 equals 50 divided by 7 equals 7. And 50 divided by 8 6, and 50 divided by 9 equals 6. Okay, so now we have our average fixed cost. We took our total fixed cost, which is here, $50, right? Divided by our quantity, which is here, to get our average fixed cost. Now we're trying to calculate for average variable cost. So we have our total variable cost divided by quantity equals average variable cost. So where are our variable costs? So our total variable costs are here, right? So let's just copy this down. Put it over here. And we're going to do divided by quantity. So 0 divided by 0 equals 0. 20 divided by 1 equals 20. 35 divided by 2 equals, let's see, 35 divided by 2 equals 18 with rounding. And 45 divided by 3 equals 15. 50 divided by 4 equals 13 with rounding. 60 divided by 5 equals 12. 80 divided by 6 divided by 6 equals 13. 115 divided by 7 equals 115 divided by 7 is 16. 165 divided by 8 is 21. And 225 divided by 9 equals 25. Okay. And now we want the average total cost. So we have total cost divided by quantity is your average total cost. So we have our total costs, which are our total costs right here, right? So you want to be careful that you're not going with your total fixed costs. You have to make sure you're looking at the right column. And that was, part of the problem I had over here when I was doing it incorrectly, but now we're back on track. So divided by quantity, again, we have 0 through 9. So we have 50 divided by 0 equals 0. 70 divided by 1 equals 70. 85 divided by 2, equals 43. 95 divided by 3 equals 32. And 100 divided by 4 equals 25. And 110 divided by 5 equals 22. 130 divided by 6 equals 22. 165 divided by 7 equals 24. And 215 divided by 8 equals 27. And 275 divided by 9 equals 31. Okay, so now we have our chart completed. And if you wanted to, you could just copy these sections, and you would have your chart. This is not supposed to be blue, this is supposed to be white. Okay, so if you just copied your blue sections, you would have your complete schedule. But this is how you calculate it. So I wanted to make sure that you had an example of that you could go back and look at or use when you are doing your homework or your test. So now what we're going to do is we are going to plot the marginal cost, the average total cost, and the average variable cost on a graph. And before I do that, I'm going to show you the schedule that I have. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and get another screen. And let me go to share screen. And this is the schedule that I have. So what I did was, it's the same thing. I just wrote down like 1 through 9, and then I took the bare numbers, not the calculation, but my marginal costs. These are my plot points for marginal cost. So you're going to plot the quantity on the X line, right? The X axis, and the number that you calculated on the y-axis, right? So you have that. I just wanted to check one thing that I want to tell you about that I was thinking about this morning. I think I have it on here. The x-axis is always the independent variable. It's always on the horizontal, and the dependent variable is on the vertical axis. So you have the vertical axis would be the second number, right? So you have 1 through 9 on your X, which is your horizontal line, and the other numbers are on the vertical y-axis. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to share the graph that I plotted. And you can see this is the short run cost schedule. So this is exactly what we just calculated. We had the quantity of output and cost dollars, right, which is here, quantity of output. We have 0 through 10, but we only go up to 9. And the cost of dollars, in dollars, we have 0 to 80, right? So quantity, you can see I have it separated here, goes the x-axis is the quantity, and then we have 3 plots. So we have the blue plot is the marginal cost. So we plotted the 1 and 20. So 1, right here, you can see the blue underneath, right? 1 and 20. And then we did 2 and 15. So 2 and 15 were on blue. 3 and 10. And 4 and whatever that is, 5. And 5 and 12, 6 and 22, well, 20, 22, and 7 and 35, and 12, 8 and 50, and 9 and 60. Okay, so that's blue. Then you have the average total cost, which is orange. You can see this is plotted right here. You can just see what they are when you hover over there. 1 and 70, 2 and 43, 3 and 32, 4 and 25, 5 and 22, 6 and 22, 7 and 24, 8 and 27, and 9 and 31. And then the gray line is the average variable cost right here, ABC. So these are all plotted. And then you can see in your short run cost schedule, what, how these things interact, right? So you're going to say, okay, well, all right, well, if I'm looking at this, what is this graph actually telling me? So we're looking at the orange, which is the average total cost. So if you're only on your average total cost, if you're only making one, it's costing you, $70 to do that, or that's your average total cost. I'm sorry. It's costing you, $70 to make one item. So you want to see like, okay, where's my good point right here? So where the things average out, that's pretty much your average, going to be your average cost. And so you can also look over here, like where's your closest thing, right? So your lowest marginal cost is 5, and your lowest average total cost is 22, and your average variable cost, the lowest, is 12. So you're going to be somewhere around in here between 4 and 5 would be your maximum or your most efficient use of your funds, between 4 and 5, somewhere in here. Okay. All right. So now you know how to do this. That's the whole problem. I don't think it took too long, but hopefully that will help you. And also just accept my apologies for that little error I had in the beginning where I was calculating the wrong item, but we cleared it up and we're all good. So if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. You can send me an email or call me, come in to see me, whatever. All right. I will see you next time.